Sawa danje ching japa danje suira kushin zuwa ike wa chunze dagi chisapa tanje dagi chanju chengo mo sa shi puchu chushi mito danje rani shi mide chemba de sanje midem pova yen drogan namda shen la chepa sho idam guru namanda kandeya taya me senchen nanji sambadan doye cheta chitawa chechun damo tepaye chujin kolo kolo zo. Kusando Sangara Shirize, Bemagara, Jambani Shunga, Zozo Nunya, de Jazazo, Kadela Manamla Sovande, Zamne, Beji, Dunjuni, Tantoje, Londonia, Bedungayana, Dodambra, Bebe, Jojon Conte, Jugo, Benonjem. Time was a Shala Sovande, Jagos and Dola Jezet, Time was a young Rodo, Denzo, Salon Jen, and Genajo, Banjing, Shala Sovande, Lumekujos, Jingo, and Yagos, Java, Janso, comes from Chuji Jabos, Jampa, the joining Bishala Sovande, when they intended in Dodges and Mahon de Jemeban. Jigri Dojela Sovande. Omen Chuji Inje Podane Zum Sanje Kunjing one year, Ransom Chugung was on Tenze Bazave, La Meshala Soa and the Mengombo Padin Lamala, Yami Chuguta, Meguji, Tunjugum Bechin Lamina Bori Baza Jewanji. Yondo Sho, the Mengombo Padin Lamala, Yami Chuguta, Meguji, Tunjugum Bechin Lamina Bori Baza Jewanji, Yondo Sho, the Mengombo Padin Lamala, Yami Chuguta, Meguji, Tunjugum Bechin Lamina Bori Baza Jewanji, Yondo Sho. Namo Ayatamba Lai Kedan Lodan de Jinke, Dum Dadame, Genamlando Wakonje, Dake, Sambatam Jekedo, Soson to Juruji, Kanda Jojo, Dongenji, and the Shelomar Jubaka, so that ended to be Juju. Sembar Batam Jendrishi. As we were talking yesterday, the essence of the teaching of Buddha is all about training the mind or the taming the mind of our ordinary mind and that point there is one very, very well used quotation. Simjin Chingbar Chichin Drubchod Lubim de la Nyeba Kaya Me says the mind is the one that binds us in the samsara. Mind is the one that frees us from the samsara. There is nothing to blame or faults to the body. That quotation is so important to understand. Remembering that point, it kind of inlines our entire practice. Every time we sit down, we're supposed to correct motivation. In order to do practice, we're supposed to correct our motivation. Every time we sit down to listen to teachings, teacher always says, correct your motivation. Of course, having a physical appearance in certain ways may have some contribution, but without the mind being in the right place, nothing goes right. And so therefore, then it is very, very important, very, very important to know the essential thing is all about our own mind. And since we are engaged with the practice of Tromge Nagmo, then Tromge Nagmo, as we were talking before, in generally speaking, we say, the causal path, the Tumba, the teacher is Nimanakaya Buddha. Kind of the Nimanakaya Buddha's activity field is, so to speak, the causal path beings. Then the Ndivunghaji Thekpa, the Vajrayana, the mantrayana that brings the fruition into the path in order to actualize, then that Sambhogakaya, Buddha's field, so to speak, and then the great perfection, the Ati Yoga, Dharmakaya Buddha field, so to speak. So, but then at the same time, that's in general kind of categorizing the causal path, mantrayana path as a clear to the Anutantra, so to speak, and then to the Ati Yoga, kind of a generalizing kind of category wise. But in this particular practice, as you see, within the mandala of Tromge Nagmo, the three kaya is all within that. Dharmakaya as a Kunduzamo, Samogakaya as a Vajravarahi, Nimanakaya as a Tromge Nagmo. And then this is not a separate entities, it is a manifesting this way in order to benefit in, you can say, in different beings, or we can say in order to reveal that qualities of one's own intrinsic nature, quality of the subtle and grosser and what called more grosser as ngowa tongbe yeshe, rangshin salwe yeshe, tukji kunjabji yeshe, this revealing of the our own three subtle qualities of our own true nature, in the essence, and the nature as a expression. So here, when we talk about as a Trikaya Dakinis, it is more goes with the qualities of our own nature of mind. These three Dakini, embracing the three Dakini practice, which helps to bring the experience of the subtle qualities of one's own inherent nature. So therefore, it is Nagmo practice is a very, very, in the one hand, it is a very advanced practice. Advanced practice, first of all, it is belongs to the teaching of Mantrayana. Second of all, it belongs to the teachings of great perfection. And so therefore, to have extensive chatting things is not that, what do you call, I say appropriate in the one hand. At the same time, the great perfection as Ati Maha, Ati Anu, Ati Maha, and then as having a mandala visualizations and having a ritual of this kind of way of engaging into the practice is through Ati Maha. And so therefore, there is a small room that we can talk as through the microphone, through the internet, whatever. But, if you read in the final prints of these kind of teachings, too much of a broadcasting also has a kandru kache, has a certain consequences from the Dakini's oath, and so forth. So going down with the practice as we have. When we are when we are doing any kind of a practice, Drubchod and these things, or somewhat proper kind of a ritual, extensive things, we make offerings to the earth goddesses, we make offerings to the local guardians, and we make offerings to the hindrance and things like this in order to make a perfect place to do practice, so to speak, isn't it? And from a point of view, from the beginning, the practice Wangdu Silnun, the traumas, what do you call the traumas laughter. Oneself instantly transforms into a trauma Nagmo, and from there, so then the emanating, so to speak, basically the 5 wisdom dakinis, and then each of the dakinis are the function or the uh, uh, activity is in order to tame the negative emotions and those who are related with the negative emotions as a harm doer and harm doers and so forth, to tame those in order to uh, create the perfect environment, so to speak. um, and then later, so then goes into, of course, reciting a supplication prayer to Guru Rinpoche. Then, as we all know, Guru Rinpoche is the embodiment of all Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. And as you read in the Guru Yoga teachings, that praying, being able to pray one pointedly to Guru Rinpoche is equal of praying to all Buddhas, Buddhas of the 1,000, Buddhas of 3 times. As you read in the words of my perfect teacher and Guru Yoga places, simply praying to the Guru Rinpoche has the power of dispelling outer, inner, and secret obstacles. As we each day we recite the final prayers. So therefore, it is we are here, we are practicing due to us falling into the samsara by Confucian act. So therefore, there is the obstacle exists. Therefore, needing help is always needed to us in every level. So therefore, then we pray one pointedly to Guru Rinpoche. Then praying to lineage. Lineage of the Kama, Terma. And then the third prayer supplication is none other than the prayer to the Dunyum Lingbas, how you say, incarnations. And praying to the Dunyum Lingpa incarnations is very, very important. See, our mind is very biased nature. It's very hard to what you call arrive to a genuine, pure kind of a state is difficult. So therefore, when we recite the prayer of the incarnation supplication prayers, it kind of how you say lifts our mind to a Tangwandremba, kind of a inspires longing kind of a nature arise. Basically, it helps to kind of open these, praying to Guru Rinpoche, praying to the lineage, praying to the incarnation of the Guru, of the Dunyulingpa, these things. Basically, it really helps to open our mind, kind of brings a certain degrees of inspiration. It is very, very important. And then goes into the practice of Guru Yoga. Then, in the Guru Yoga times, in the essence, inseparable with the Kunduzamo, Vajavarahi, Tramanamo, in the essence of that, in the appearance, is our own root master. In the essence, inseparable with the Dakini of the three kayas. And then, as we were talking yesterday, is a very Dunyum Lingpa having a very unique power or the blessings of the church traditions because of himself receiving direct instructions from Saraha and blessings from Guru Rinpoche and having a direct connections with the Majik Labdun and the Patamba Sangye and so forth. Then of course, our Rinpoche I think it's in his biography, but when he was very young in Temple Gomba, living at Temple Gomba times, he has an interaction, experience, direct experience with the Tamba Sangye, Patamba Sangye, and bestowing the blessings of Chut to him. And then later, yes, Rinpoche, we did so many practice of not trauma when I was child, Tsole Rinchen Changwa, magic tradition. We did many of those. And then later, Holiness Dunyu Rinpoche is one of Rinpoche's main teacher. Then the Holiness told Holiness told Rinpoche to propagate the trauma and the Pujarekpong and Nangjang as according of his teacher's instructions, and then Rinpoche taught on that, practice on that. So therefore, as you can see, that there is a strong evidence of Rinpoche is basically, first of all, he is a great master. On the top of that, then having also blessings of the blessings of the Chut of these lineages also. Tamba Sangye is Rupit Rinpoche, and also Holiness also having a great confidence in Rinpoche in order to propagate in the West. That also is evident that Rinpoche has a great carrying the blessings of the Chut natures. And so therefore, then simply praying to the Rinpoche in the form of our Rinpoche, and then can be visualized inseparable with the Dunyum Lingpa, and on the three Dakini of the three kayas, and then when we are beginning church times, and then basically as we were this Guru Yoga prayer goes. In the final, the fine notes he there says, isn't it? Resting basically in the, say, I don't know how to translate exactly, but basically the resting in the absolute nature, resting in the Rigpa is the absolute Guru Yoga. But then, not all of us can remain in that state. Intellectually, possible. But practice-wise, questionable. Because we are very much bound with the relative forces. Relative forces are very much with the duality nature. And so therefore, in order to, according of how our mind is and how our state of mind is, then in order to work with that, so then relative guru, visualizing, remembering the qualities of the guru, and then these helps to what I call dissolve a certain degrees of thought pattern, hopes and fears, and these things, where we can have some sense of kind of a connecting with the qualities of the Guru's form, qualities of the Guru's speech, qualities of the Guru's mind. And while we are doing the practice of this nature as sadhana times, then we visualize above our crown chakra. While we are, let's say, engaging into a feast or let's say meal and these things, then that time we can visualize in our throat chakra. These are the same thing as in Guru Yoga in general. While we are going to sleep times, then remaining Guru in your heart. These kind of ideas we always have to remember. That way, so then Cholam Shi, four main activities, so to speak, of the conduct of eating, sleeping, going, sitting, these things, always then we have Guru Yoga happens with us. While we are going, walking, while we are sitting, above our crown chakra. While we are eating, drinking, that time can be in the throat chakra. While we are sleeping, can be in our own heart chakra. That kind of way. Basically, there is a ways of kind of um, these kind of methods help us to have a sense of kind of a blending. That these idea, blending of these idea, what it does is then it helps to reveal or remaining in the absolute Guru Yoga, ultimate Guru Yoga. From the beginning will not happen. From the beginning, once in a while happens, but more and more we can have kind of integration of the Guru Yoga approach of these four, the four, as I said, these things, kind of way of Guru Yoga approach. And then that kind of occupying the Guru Yoga in all our activities of our life, so to speak. Basically, our life goes by that. Sitting, eating, walking, sleeping, those things. And then that more and more we have kind of a occupying of the practice of Guru Yoga in our life, then more and more of the absolute Guru Yoga will happen. Then Guru Yoga only is not like a Guru Yoga only happens in the daytimes. Guru Yoga can happen in the night times. So then then it's very nice, isn't it? But here again, I want to make sure that I talk like, oh, I have the perfect Guru Yoga on day and night. No, I'm trying to have that Guru Yoga. Night sleep state translating into a practice of clear light, that is none other than absolute Guru Yoga. And the daytime, every experience is seeing none other than expression of one's own primordial nature. That is also a absolute Guru Yoga. In that, seeing every arising of these experience of these things are, once we have seeing through the eyes of our own the primordial nature, the intrinsic quality, there is no good, bad, right, wrong. It is, so I don't know, this is it's a very, 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 very important one. So in the essence, what I'm trying to say here is that in order to have a practice of the Tromge Nagmo to happen, Guru Yoga is very important. Guru Yoga is important in every level, even as a practice of Tromge Nagmo, as a great perfection practice. Guru Yoga is very important. So therefore, then while we are doing the practice, the Dramaru, and then we are blowing the Kangling, and then we are saying ped, those times, then think of as a then our Rinpoche is getting ready, wearing robes and combing his hairs and you know, then coming, what do you call, majestically. Basically, this idea, isn't it? We say blowing kanglings and the pet. This time we say, first one says to hearing, and then from the hearing, then think of as the as a guru in this particular case, as a guru yoga point of view, then they us through our devotion, calling, requesting, and then the hearing our request, basically idea. And then the second time, see, this is all according to our mind. See how our mind is. That's the way the compassion manifests in that way of the guru. And then hearing our devotions. From the devotions draws, yeah? Draws. Then cheba means like a kind of a getting ready, coming. Third time as then coming, and then what I call majestically residing with great compassion. So it is a very, very important to have basically going with how our mind is. If our mind is, if we don't need that, kind of devotionally calling, and then the devotionally, then the devotion hearing, and then coming ideas from the beginning, just simply has the understanding the absolute nature resting in there. So then you are naturally resting with the Guru already, because of your that experience of the state of mind is not different than the state of the mind of the Guru. But once that is somewhat, it's like a basically once in the blue moon kind of a thing. So then yes, we do have to really engage with the devotion way of calling. Devotion way of calling, it has to be with a pure motivation. It can't be with a me also. And then we have a residing of the Guru, and then in that Guru, so then we're trying to really kind of further develop the understanding, or further develop the force of the Guru Yoga practice, in order then highlighting into the qualities of the enlightened body of the Guru, highlighting into the enlightened speech of the Guru, highlighting into the enlightened mind of the Guru, that kind of a way, and then further develops what I call like a perfect soil, so to speak. In the essence, as a simple way of putting, we have to understand Yuanden Sangye Kunda Nyamna Yang, Garden Sangye Kunda Hlabin Gun, where we have to understand, as the Guru Yoga point of view, as the qualities of the realization point of view may be equal as any Buddhas of the three times. As a kindness point of view, then resides much greater or superior than any other Buddhas and Bodhisattvas of the past. Not because of they have a less kindness and our Guru has more kindness, not that way, but just simply ourselves not tamed. Maybe we didn't have the karma to be born at that time, or we may be born at that time, but we may be, through our own confusion and so forth, may be completely invaded by all the other distractions. That we may not have the karma. And here we are all under the umbrellas of Rinpoche, and having this kind of opportunity to practice. And these are all none other than the kindness of Rinpoche. So therefore, us having as our Chandu Gompa Lamas, us having something to share with the others, it is all due to the blessings of Rinpoche. And as a Sanghas, us having some genuine thought of arising bodhicitta may have a little benefiting ideas to others, benefiting to others. That is also due to the blessings of our Rinpoche. And so therefore, we have to see the what do you call, directly and indirectly, how the impact is with us. So therefore, simply understanding of these things, as we were talking yesterday, simply having a genuine Guru Yoga practice, in that everything is in there. Mandala of the three root is in the practice of Guru Yoga. Having a proper Guru Yoga, idea of three jewel is in there. Practice of the three jewels is in there. Having a proper Guru Yoga as a relative and absolute, three kaya is also in there. And so therefore, the shaping one's own practice is all based on Guru Yoga. And so therefore, the Guru Yoga plays a very, very important role. As you read the Guru Yoga, these Guru Yoga supplication prayers, yeah, it talks so beautifully. If you read and thoroughly and kind of reflect on this, it kind of, how you say, gives you a goosebump, hair rising. Brings an, how you say, knotted in your throat, brings tears in your eyes. It really gives you a very strong move. When you have that kind of a move, you look at that moment of that state of your mind. That kind of a state of mind, and then Vajrayana practitioner have to be in that kind of a state of mind. So therefore, praying for Guru Yoga is very, very important. In the essence, praying within Guru Yoga, it helps to reveal. It's not like to make a visualization of the certain Guru that you visualize out there to make it more stronger or stability of the visualization, but that practice of the Guru Yoga helps to reveal the absolute Guru Yoga, which is your own absolute purity, the primordial purity. So then goes into the refuge and bodhicitta, visualizing Nagmo, visualization of these times, Nagmo, then above the crown chakra of that as a Vajravarahi, above the crown chakra of the Vajravarahi as a, then Kunduzamo, you visualize, then through that, then visualizing the Vajra, Radna, Parma, Karma, Drakinis, then through that activating Drakinis, and so forth, visualizing. Many visualization of these things doesn't happen, so then at least visualizing the three kaya Drakinis. If that is somewhat beginning times is somewhat challenging, then simply visualize Nagmo and understand that Nagmo is none other than the Vajravarahi and Kunduzamo as the grosser expression of the Kunduzamo is none other than the Nagmo. And as a relative aspect, then the absolute refuge is none other than the having some either remaining in the your own true nature, the subtle understanding or the seeing the experience of our subtle qualities of our own mind as a Kunduzamo, Sambhoga Dharmakaya, Sambhogakaya and Nimanakaya aspect. In the essence, as we always, in Ngondro time, we will always talk, what you visualize out there is none other than it is a relative refuge, and absolute refuge is your own, the absolute nature of our own, the mind. The seeing, basically, the three kaya, as we visualize out there, that three kaya is a relative, and our own ngobo tongba yishe, rangjin salvi yishe, tukje kunjabi yishe, that quality of these three essence, nature, and the okay, now I'm losing the other one. Yeah, those three qualities. Are basically Ngobo Tongba Yeshe is the Ngobo Tongba aspect is the Kunduzamo, Rangjin Salva aspect is the Vajravarahi, Sambhogakaya. Then the Tukji Kunchap is the Nimanakaya, Nagmo. The qualities, the subtle qualities of our own nature of mind is none other than the three kayas of the Dakinis. Then, of course, in that refuge that you visualize, as you see from the... See, this is always way to remember. How the mandala of the refuge arises. Says there, Rangi Nyingane Wazirintrobe, from my heart light shining, and so forth. Then it Varko appears up there, right? So it arises from here. So this, of course, when we say about, oh, this my heart, we're not talking as our ordinary, this complicated mind, we're not talking that one, we're talking as our own absolute nature, our primordial mind. Each and every being have that, isn't it? So basically, it is an expression of our own true nature. So therefore, we always have to remember, it is not something separate. It is an expression of our own primordial mind. We visualize, then that visualization dissolves. Where? Not just in somewhere, it dissolves back into where it came out. Dissolves into us. Za ho, pam ho, so it emanates from here, dissolves into here. So we always have to remember that. Once we have remembering of that, then there's some, even the relative refuge has a chance of being somewhat pure relative practice. You do all the rituals and things that you visual, then you are reciting prayers, and then you think of that as a separate entity, then you are reciting the prayer stuff, but not exactly going as a refuge practice. So, practice of those natures are very, very important. Then comes down to into bodhicitta. Then 7 branch offerings. 7 branch offering is a, as we were talking before, the 3 yanas, yeah, 3 yanas. It's a very interesting. There's a different ways of, let's say, 7 branch. 7 branch in the sense of general 7 branch practice, as more kind of emphasized with a causal path, and also 7 branch practice as a Vajrayana path point of view. For example, when we're doing the Vajrakilaya practice, yeah, 8 branch offering prayers, you look in there, there's little some things that are different. Then, let's say if you're receiving, let's say, what we have to practice? Vajrasattva empowerment times, or Thun empowerment times, when we recite those prayers of the refuge and the 7 branch things, it's a little bit different. Seven branch practice, 7 branch have prostration. These 7 branch in this causal path point of view. We have prostrations, changsabatan, chujing, offerings, confessions. Then the 4th one is what we say, rejoice. then then requesting the will of tuning the teachings, then requesting to remain, dedications, right? Then particular Vajrayana point of view of seventh branch, there is a which talks more in the kind of earlier, newer school talks more, but it's not that as a Nyingma we don't apply as we're talking Vajrakilaya times. So when you look at it in the 8 branch offering, Dorje Loben, Sanjeba, Sumjula, Chano, there is no word of requesting the tuning the wheel of Dharma, requesting of remaining, not to pass away, not there, right? Particular Vajrayana 7th branch offering times, we talk about prostrations is there. Offering is there, confession is there, rejoicing is there, refuge, bodhicitta, dedication. Those 7th branch comes that way. In our Nyingma traditions school, we have some places we have that applications, applying of that kind of a approach we have, and also they have the general 7th branch offering as we have here. Nagmo says here, basically the prostration, offering, confession, rejoicing, turning the wheel of Dharma, requesting to remain, and dedication. So, why exactly some, this says, the particular says, the Vajrayana 7th branch, not having, they say, requesting to turning the wheel of Dharma and requesting to remain, not to pass away, those things have to do with, as we talked before, the fruition, this fruition path, right? Mantrayana. The activity field of Sambhogakaya. In there, we say 5 certainties. In that 5 certainties, the teacher, as a Buddha Vairocana, in the certainty there is no passing away idea don't exist. Then as a turning the wheel of Dharma, it is always, there is the certainty of Dharma, this Dharma happening all the time. So in generally speaking, the idea of the 7th branch as we have, requesting to turn the wheel of Dharma and not to pass away, these things are with the Nimanakaya Buddha. Nimanakaya states there is a kind of a, even though the ones, such as the Buddha Shakyamuni, it is from his own point of view, there is no passing or there is no remaining. It is basically, it is a kind of a indestructible quality, so to speak, of his presence. But in the people's point of view, there is born, age, dying, though those things exist, right? And also, when he attained enlightenment, and then he didn't see a perfect kind of a audience thing, and then he said, says, I found the profound revelations, and to speak to anyone will not understand, so therefore I will go into the forest. And then he didn't give teachings for a long time, for 40 something days, right? And then later, requested by the Brahman and Indra and those things with the golden wheels and so on, then he taught. So in the Nimanakaya level, there is independent of there is a exist of passing, so therefore requesting to remain is there. In the relative state, Nimanakaya state, there is a feel of these pure, impure retinues, and so therefore, and then there is a requesting to remain happens in a dependent wise, can extend, so to speak, and also requesting to turn the wheel of Dharma, it happens. So I think I have to do with that. But in the we have applying of those things, as you see. There's one very, very commonly used refuge, or the seventh branch prayer is Kunjo Sumla Dachamche Digba Meke Sososhan Rovegila Kunjo Sumla Dachamche. You now forget the Vajrasattva empowerment, and we do the particular prayers. And 7 of the 8 branch offering times, we use these things. At the same time, we don't say the 7th branch as we have here. Say, oh, this is a causal path, so therefore we don't do. We do this one with the understanding of relative and absolute. So, this is a very, very, very important. I want you to know that I'm not saying that you must do this. I'm saying that it is important for all of us to do this. Because do you have anger? We can all say like this, right? Do you have jealousy? We all will be not happily, what do you call? What is the opposite of that? Oh yeah, basically we will all be saying, all of those we have. Jealousy, we have pride, we have anger, we have desire, we have stupidity, we have all of those. And so therefore, no matter how much we talk such as a Nagmo practice, that is a practice here. Who's doing is us. If we don't pay attention to what we have here to deal, and then we become more of just like a tape player, so to speak. And so therefore, we have to deal with this. In the teaching says, Gu Dagbara Chaive Chidu was it? Yeah, gyu takbar chewe chi tu yenla dumba jao means in order to perfect our own mind stream, our own, therefore says must train in the practice of seventh branch. So it is a very, very important. In the one hand, what you have as a in the front. So see, as you look at it, as a seventh branch practice, within that, if you engage in a proper way, in there, such as the full power, the power of support, power of whatever, remorse, power of commitment, right? You say commitment? The four powers. And then power of antidote. All of those things are in this. What we have visualizing a mandala in front is none other than dynamic display of the primordial nature, or you may say it is a Rupakaya. Mandala appearing in front. Then in front of that, Shingdul Trangyam Lutune. So this one basically, as you read in the prayer of the perfect conduct, or in the Bodhisattva Charya Avatara, in there talks seven branch practice extensively, isn't it? Extensively. It is very, very important. When I was receiving teachings on this, Rinpoche used the example of a story of a two monks went to one master in the retreat place requesting a teachings. Then they request, and finally he accepted and then says, okay, you do a 1 million mantra of this, and then tomorrow you come and then I will give you teachings. So then now those two went back into their own cottage, their own place. Then one is reciting and reciting and reciting. The whole night he recited. Of course, couldn't finish 1 million. It's impossible. One just recited one or two, just only a few times, went to sleep, and he slept very loudly, slept. The morning they went, and then I thought, the other one thought, I'm sure he's not going to receive anything at all. He just did a few mantras, slept very loudly, and at least I did all night practice, recited the mantra, and I must have the much greater chance of receiving. So they went in, and then he said, I'm so sorry, and I can only finish this much. I didn't sleep at all. I did the whole night, since I left from here, all did is mantra accumulations. Then the other one says, what did you do? I recited a few times, and then I went to sleep. But when I recited, I visualized myself in 1 million times, and then I recited one as all of us reciting together, and then I went to sleep. And then he received the teachings, not the other one. So therefore, it is very important to have that kind of an idea when you see, mind is a very beautiful thing. You can play with your mind. Have to be a creative, isn't it? In a positive way. And here it says, Shingdul Tranyam Lutul Ne, basically emanating ourselves in millions, countless. And then, during the procession in front of the mandala of Nagmo, if we engage in the proper way, and that much of a, we are, what we call, bringing impact to our own mind. See, the idea of prostrating to the mandala is the antidote of pride. And the prostrating to the mandala is that you are kind of accepting. You are accepting the mandala is being, in a relative point of view, you are understanding that the mandala is the wisdom aspect, and yourself is the being with the negative emotions, surrendering of that kind of a way and prostrating. So when we prostrate, then again in one other time we will talk about this, the purification of the prostration time we talked, and then when we are doing that with that same idea of me prostrating in front of the mandala, the assembly of the wisdom beings, and then that stream of the attitude multiplied by 100,000 and million, and that many times we are kind of accepting, and it brings impact of that. So basically, prostration times, in the one hand, we are talking as a, us as a, let's say, and Jigme Tromge is prostrating in front of the mandala of the Nagmo. In order to purify my body, speech, mind, creates from the force of pride. But in the other hand, relative point of view, that's the way we go, right? Absolute point of view, so here we apply those two together, absolute point of view, then remaining in the recognition of our own remaining in the recognition of our own absolute nature. In the word says here, Rangshan Java, basically seeing our own absolute face, recognizing our own, basically remaining in the recognition of our own primordial nature is the none other than the absolute prostration. In that recognition, there is no emotion of pride, and this exists at all. And then offerings. Then again, the Bodhisattva Charavatara talks so much beautifully, and also in the perfect contact prayers has beautiful ones. And here's a Luda Longju, Gezaji Changje Meper Chebambul, offering our own body, prosperities, and virtues, whatever we have, that we offer to the mandala without any attachment, without any attachments. And then this particular offering term, again, it is all we can visualize as we do. Offering time, some things we have a substance in front, and we visualize through our mantras and mudras, and then we multiply the offerings. That's called the Yijitubin Choba. Yijitubin Choba. Emanating from our mind as offerings to the mandalas. Things that we belong offering to the mandalas. Dadu Mazumi Choba. That is beautiful things that is kind of in the things that don't belong to individuals, basically as a kind of as a community kind of things. I don't know, it's the beauty of the mountain and things like that. So basically, there's so many things that we talk. And these things are very, very important because it helps to deal with attachment and desire. Then, as an ultimate point of view here, see, and the practice of such as Tromge Nagmo times, we have to go with these two things, even though the word here is more goes with the relative, but absolute aspect of the Tromge, the seventh branch offering, we have to understand or have to have that idea there. Offering our body and belongings, prosperity, virtue, and these things we offer. In the absolute point of view, whatever we perceive, beings, basically animate, inanimate, whatever we perceive these things, all are seeing none other than the dynamic display, or we say tsal ropa gen, the display, dynamic display, how you say, as a ornamentation or ornament. So that kind of a way of when we talk about in a generally as offering in a relative point of view, it is already a kind of a biased ideas, relative ways. Oh, I offer this because it is good. I don't offer this because it's bad. Once we go beyond the relative, then everything is by nature becomes offerings, because all are pure. Serap sakbi lenyun dik nongju tragbun toshin sha. So this is it's very important to pay attention very thoroughly. You read in there, says, it doesn't say, oh, I confess what I did mistake now. Isn't it? It says here, I regret and confess all the things that I did throughout my life. It opens the door of all the possibilities. Our ego doesn't allows that idea. May just take one thing, says, okay, I did this wrong. So basically, it is very, very important as we talk at the mind training times. Confession is a very, very important to really develop, really to understand. We tend to follow on one thing, maybe two things. If we are somewhat in a good state of mind, maybe we can accept few more. But then not so much of the idea of past things doesn't happen. And some things that we don't remember, we don't even consider that we done mistakes. And we know that we have a very little awareness, creating intentionally, so to speak, is very little. We have so much that we do with a habitual force that we don't even recognize that we have done. And so therefore we have to really, in order to have a genuine kind of a confession, we have to open ourselves that whatever I remember, whatever, of course, also we have to open up that whatever I have done that I don't remember, or whatever I have done that I don't know as being wrong. Basically, there's so many things. Either ourself engaging into the action that we remember or not remembering has to be there, or us directly encouraging or influencing other to commit, or others committing negativities and us having some, enjoyment or kind of like a feeling of kind of satisfaction. That happens because of us having a sense of kind of a competitive attitude, jealousy, and these things can happen. As you read in the confession called Tromge, our self-creating or others causing others to commit, or others creating us having this rejoicing in others creating those things. Basically, all of those things has to bring into the consideration. It happens. So therefore, we have to have these ideas very much applied. But then, as an absolute point of view, that remaining in the and our own primordial nature, whatever things arise instantly has a sense of dissolving naturally. That doesn't have to recognize and contemplate and dissolve and these things at all. Simply remaining in the absolute nature. For example, if something drops in the water, a ripple comes, but then just dissolves. Cloud comes, cloud dissolves. You don't have to do anything. Such as the one common example we say is a snake. Snake, the body tangles, knots. You don't have to say, "Oh, poor snake, the body is tangled, so let's unknot the thing." You don't have to, it just naturally happens. So that kind of idea. In the absolute state, there is nothing to be, nothing to, confess. Non gyu traban thonyi sha, nronam tendi gyurjurbe, geso kunla jirang. Rejoicing. All the basically virtues, cause of virtue is the cause of happiness, and whoever has gain of these, either Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, Vajra brothers, sisters, any, and we're supposed to have a rejoicing. See, more we can rejoice, the greater there will be of us doing the similar ones. Less we have a rejoicing of others, the recognition of the others' well-being and accomplishment, less we have a rejoicing of others, the less us engaging in that kind of a way. It's a very common thing, isn't it? Common sense. Confessing, antidote for anger says, such as a rejoicing as an antidote for jealousies. This is a very, very important jealousy is the let's say a biggest demon, so to speak, in order to have a activity to flourish, enlightened activity or the positive activities. More rejoicing of each other's goodness, the greater the activity flourishes, virtue activities. More jealousy there, that then each, like let's say if Janice is having a good activities, and then here I come and pulls her leg down.
Or I'm having a good activities, and then let's say somebody else having a jealousy, and then pulls my feet down. So it does nothing but harms. It is harm to the person as those who are doing something good, yes, and it harms as those who are bringing good to harms. And as a overall, the entire idea of as a the structure, so to speak, gets weaker. There's nothing behind that. Behind that jealousy is nothing but ignorant, nothing but stupidity, basically. There's no gain to anyone. As I always example, such as one of my main teacher is Holiness Jigme Punso. Holiness, when he is alive, his places has a great activities, and he passed away, and still it is as great as before. Why? Because all the sanghas, they support each other, trying to lift up each other. No, there is no one that drags down. Kempo Sunam Taji, Kempo Supreme Lord, Kempo Guru, everybody, each other, they lift up. And by having that kind of mentality, the activity just grows and grows and grows, isn't it? Such as Tromge Yachin, Lama Achu passed away, and while he was alive, it was a very, very extensive activities. And when he passed away, still a very extensive. Why? Because they have that wisdom to lift up each other as a sanghas. So therefore, it is growing and growing. So there is something to learn from those places. Wherever there is a jealousy, it's impossible to grow any activities, because the good activities are from bodhicitta. Jealousy doesn't exist. It's the opposite of the bodhicitta attitude. In fact, having a jealousy, it contaminates vow of bodhicitta. Having a pride contaminates the vow of bodhicitta. Especially this rejoicing is a very, very important. So therefore, yes, it is a Jiram, yes. So therefore, whatever we see as a positive things happening to someone else, we recognize and rejoice, and we pray that may he or she become a better tomorrow than today. That kind of attitude we have to adopt. Then, in the absolute point of view, then virtue of Sangji Jigyewa, Sangmi Jigyewa, this again, let's see, basically the virtue of all aspects. Virtue in the sense of a relative aspect point, or relative point of view, the virtue that has an exhausting quality, or virtue that has an inexhausting quality with the accumulation of wisdom. through that, whatever it is, in the all aspect of virtues, let's see. Creating of a virtue as a Sakji Geva, they has the kind of, I say, exhausting forces, merit, virtue from the inexhausting qualities as a wisdom aspect. Basically, all of these things, in the absolute point of view, there is understanding the nature of both resides in the same state. Nature of the nature of the merit, nature of the wisdom. That is our projection from our ordinary point of view, but in the reality, absolute, there is no, in the absolute state, there is no relative merit as something lower, and there is, as I say, ultimate as something higher, does not exist. So, having a kind of remaining in that understanding as a great equality of these two, as we have projected as one, as a inexhausting flow with a flow kind of ideas, exhausting one as inexhausting as a flawless idea. It is all within the relative point of view. In the absolute, there is no flow and flawless virtue or exhausting and inexhausting thing at all. But remaining in that kind of idea is something that we have to pay attention to. Then requesting to remain, that as we talked before. As an idea of the request to remain, not passing away, turning the wheel of Dharma. Kamsum koba yondruji, kangdu chunguru koba. And as we all know, the mind of the Buddhas are basically immeasurable, compassion nature, and therefore emanates in all realms and brings benefit towards all realms, turning the wheel of the Dharma. And having turning the wheel of Dharma, which helps to confusion, or the doubts. And in the absolute point of view, remaining in the absolute nature, which is the free of all contrived thought patterns and these things. Basically, more we can be in the state of that state, the more it grows the qualities of our own, becomes more, not grows, but more evident of our own nature of mind. And then that remaining in that that has a sense of kind of a what you call unfolding qualities, that itself is the idea of turning the wheel of Dharma. And then requesting of remain. Not to pass away, as we talked before. In the one hand, it is very much to do with the relative Nimanaka aspect. Yes, it is. From the beginning, it says here that from the state of Dhammakaya, then in order to bring benefit, then emanating or manifesting as a Rupakaya, which helps to eliminate wrong views, yes, and then that as a requesting of remain is none other than, once we have a sense of kind of a recognition and remaining in the state, then that our own absolute nature is basically an indestructible kind of a nature. In that state, there is no such a thing as a what you call past, present, future. It is beyond of any of these things. So therefore, Vajra quality existing within that presence, and therefore, so then the fifth idea is also that way. Then the dagi tusum sakbi gen rogun sanji topjin ho dedicating our virtues. See, when we say dedicating our virtues, then idea of, oh, whatever I have created now, whatever I have created in the past, whatever I will be creating in the future, I dedicate. It happens easier for us because we are doing something good. When it comes down to a confession, to deal with our problems, then it barely we can acknowledge our flaws. 1, difficult. 2, more difficult. 3, more difficult. So we have to look at this kind of way. So basically, yes, we are talking about dedication of the virtue of the 3 times and these in order to dedicating towards all Mother Cindy being in order to attain enlightenment. We talk about these. So, the similar ideas and also exist in the absolute point of view, dedication, dedicator, I say, receiver of the dedication. So that kind of way, when we look, and basically, these kind of a way of practice, applying somewhat thoroughly, and then the practice of trauma, such as a trauma Nagmo idea, it happens. So now, as we look, yesterday we talked about as how the practice of the karma teachings, practice of the karma brings that mindfulness, Tromge Pao. It really has so much impact. Mindfulness. No matter what we say as a practice of as a higher and higher practice we talk, but from the beginning you have to have some that mindfulness as an ordinary mind, having some control of some awareness of our own actions. Just simply saying Rigpa, it just doesn't work that way. Hopefully works, but you have to have. As we were talking yesterday, some people they do a confession. While they are doing confession, pride comes. Some people they're visualizing a deity. There is no base of pride in that place, but visualizing the deity, pride comes. Reciting the mantra, in the mantra there is no cause of any negative emotion arise, but in the reciting mantra, attachment can arise, pride can arise. In the middle of the meditation, either as a form, or as a mantra, or just simply as a resting in the nature, as an absolute point of view, there is no base of rising any negative emotions. But we are meditating, and someone makes a noise, and we get angry. See? There is no. We have to have some of these things. When we have a little bit support from the mindfulness of these things from the beginning, see, everything is about differentiating, differentiating what is right, what is wrong, what is a virtue, what is not a virtue. These things from the beginning, from the karma goes onwards, comes up, And then, once we have some kind of a embedded habit of this kind of way, in the practice, the small trick by the mindfulness, and then it can go into the natural state of resting happens. Let's say, while we are reciting, visualizing trauma and practicing, that time, that small mindfulness, if someone moves you will see the movement of the person, but then that may help you to see the practice through the movement as a form meditation of the Dakini possible. Somebody may cough. The coughing, you may hear the coughing as a cough. You may not hear as a mantra, but simply hearing that cough, your mindfulness may help you to understand the nature of the cough is no different than the sound, speech of the Dakini or the mantra of the Dakini possible. So the mindfulness plays a very, very important, yeah? And then from there goes into such as descending the blessings. The similar ideas. As we have the witness, so to speak, of these, the refuge mandala and these things, and then we dissolve to oneself, and then from there, and then the descending the blessing times, the as a word by word goes here, and then the mandala of the, basically invoking the blessings of the mandala of the Dakini as a Dharmakaya, Kunduzamo, Sobogakaya, as a Vajravarahi, and then the Nirmanakaya, Tramanamo, with the retinue of the four Vajranapama karma, and then activity and so forth, then basically inviting blessings. With that, so then as the mind-to-mind lineage, symbolic lineage, and the mouth-to-ear lineage, all the blessings of the lineage holders of the three levels, all comes upon ourselves, dissolving into their blessings of the body, speech, mind of the Dakinis and the lineage. Then it helps to understand, oh, yes, blessings of that helps to destroy or dissolve the clinging that which we have to body as a solid, body as a real, speech in that way, the mind in that way. Basically, we have a very solidity of these things into our own existence, which obstructs to see the pure nature. So that blessings, think of as a blessings, are basically helping to dissolve all of those things in order to have the ability to arise a complete mandala of the Dakini. Okay. Sunam di tamji sibani, tomne ni bedana ba, jega nanchi balab trubai, sibit solendo, rovarsho, Sencho Rinpoche, Maje Bano Jeju, Jeba Nyamba Me, Gone Gondo Pewa, Shu.